Yeah, whole prof here, covered in dust. Let's just say it's not the best way back there, but the setup has been updated. I've had these dual ups, I don't know, years now. Got them before I got booted out of the office upstairs for remodeling, and they're finally both at my desk. And this is probably the configuration that will come with me when I go back upstairs to the office. LG 4K OLED in the middle. The 240 hertz also has the dual mode to 40, 1080p. I don't know. I wouldn't buy it if I was doing that. We got a square guy in portrait over here, and we got a square guy in landscape over there. So really actually wish I had this, what we had in this next package, to do this, because I had to do some janky stuff with some extensions. And that is a stand from the Asus 32-inch that is on the bottom over there. So we made her work because these originally came, when they originally came out with arms. And then they do make a cheaper one that is like $150 cheaper that doesn't have an arm. And we have a kitten walking on everything. Paisley Marie, what are you doing? Paisley? Paisley? So, you guys probably already know what you're here for, because you looked at the thumbnail. But, let me get my pen stash out of the way. We had a level for leveling the monitors. Ooh, you know, for those that are interested in me. Grave of the Fireflies did just re-release through G-Kids. It used to be through Sentai Filmworks. In a nice steelbook. So if you're somebody like me who's collecting all of the steelbook Ghibli films, that might be for you. Now, normally I would use a Tuck XL or HD, like this matte, smooth Hunter orange one. But obviously, because of what is in here, we need to use the translucent James Palmer. I was not a huge fan of the original Palmer. Still not the biggest fan of this variant. But I do think, especially for the price, it's a much better offering than it was. I do actually have the one thing that they'll sell with this. There you go. Jerry Rig Everything. Clear. I think that's actually like an acrylic. Knife. I think they have packs where you can get that in there, or if you order this, you can get one of these. Actually a decent knife. The fact that it has like this back lock is quite nice. The fact that it's thick on one side, thin on the other, I'd much prefer if it was kind of balanced, but it is a metal button, like it. And then I do wish that the flipper here was actually extended out far enough to actually use, should be further this way and wider. Like a lot of them just use a circle, not this weird half circle thing. But that is not what this video is about. For those wondering, this is using the Fiskars made in the USA carbotanium, something like that, blade. And as you saw there, they're like X-Acto knife sharp. So, we're gonna need some comparisons. The original, black on black on black. We've got my custom, which is what I use mainly, that I got at LTX 2023. We got the black on black stubby, which I also got at LTX. And then over here in my work tool bag, I've got the OG. which is probably seen the most use. And did I need a fourth one of these? No. 3 I actually have use for. This guy was the original one that I pre-ordered, the black on black, right? Right, this is the one I pre-ordered. Then I also picked up this one, which is just the original. This one's seen quite a bit of use. You can see by that, the tip. I think I've even swapped that Phillips 2 out once. These other ones have not seen as much use, right? They've seen some, like this guy here. This is what, a 2.5 probably? Yeah, 2.5 hex. Those are pretty common in piece filling. For the main part, this original guy only saw PC building use. This one looks like the flathead seen more use than anything for whatever reason. For those wondering, it does chip off that easily. So that is why this was not a thing that they did for everything. They wanted it to be one that they did for all of them, but that big one there is just a nick from a like a Nocto style tower cooler. Might have been a Hyper 212 otherwise. But yeah, so, and you can see all these little scratches, but these big nicks, even if you were to take this and drop it on that, it would take a chip off. So as cool as this is why this is up in my office. I have a screwdriver there then, and I can use it, but black on black on black, stubby, not as much an issue because the shaft is so much shorter. Really love this thing. I actually think, I mean, you can see all the wear on the plastic there. I would argue the stubby is the better one to buy. And apparently stubby screwdriver sales have not been anywhere near as good as the full size. I think you guys are doing it wrong, personally. This thing has seen tons and tons and tons of use. Now, I should probably just take the flatheads out of there. I really don't use them. The smaller Phillips I do quite a bit. Well, I use this for a Phillips 1, or more often than anything, I will actually just use this with, until I come up with a better bit holder. I've got these off of Amazon, and they hold all the bits that from the various kits. I think some people have some nicer ones or 3D printed ones that go in Altoid tins. This I picked up just immediately because I could get an orange one and they all fit in there. So I just more often than not, I'm using this for some more precision small stuff where I can't get the big drivers, and I'm using stuff like this 0.0 inch 0.05 inch hex, the little baby hex, or a little baby Torx. You know, like where you could get a precision, but having this width, like you get so much more torque on this width. So I don't even can see how beat up this thing is, but I use this. I always carry this thing around in my pocket too. It's small if you can just chuck it in there. Normally I would I modify the loadout of these, and I just leave a Phillips in the big one, because I often throw this guy in my pocket, and I throw these in my pocket too, but they stick out because they're so long. You can throw it in your back pocket, your side pocket, you know, wherever, and but the tip will always stick out, so it's not a big deal that there's always a screwdriver one in there. This guy I actually throw in my main pocket, you know, like with your keys, your wallet, just whatever else you have in there. So that's why I don't leave, you know, I could carry one more bit if I left one in there, but I very often carry it as you see it. You know, it's a little guy. And this is my custom one that I did at LTX. We got the classic yellow and red. I thought it'd be too much red to have the selector also being red. So we went with the black. And it's grown on me over time. That was the iffiest part. I was like, should I have done that red? But then it would have looked too clowny. And I don't think any of the other, like orange would have looked weird because it still would have been like reddish. You know, like imagine that there. Yeah. I think black was the only reasonable way to go. But yeah, you can see this thing's all sorts of torn up. You got Shmoo back in the logo down there. All of these bits have been used. You're like, well, where do you use this? Because you said you don't recommend that one for PC building. Yeah, around the house. This is like, if you like, I don't use a ratcheting screwdriver to build PCs. I use like something like this, a very thin 4mm shaft if you can get it, or I need something much longer, like I'd say an 8 or a 10-inch screwdriver, because a lot of things you really need to get in there, and that's if I'm using a screwdriver. More often than not, we're probably using the Snap-on. This is my favorite personally. Or we've got things like the DeWalt, which I know is a fan favorite. I do like it as well. Gyroscopic, you just tilt it for the direction and speed. Or an updated one on the market, the Bosch Go 3 Professional. It's got a button, toggle, or when you push in, it goes as well. This is a great one. I know a lot of people like the Gen 2. It had some flaws. All of those have been fixed in this if you haven't seen my video on it. But that's probably what I'm using when building a PC. And then when I'm doing a laptop, I'm using a precision bit set, like the iFixit. I do have, if you haven't seen those videos, I do have the LTT one, but I did voice my concerns. I think this container is better. The driver, if you don't benefit from these, which you can see I don't put any bits in there. So if you don't benefit from adding bits in the ass end, I would argue that iFixit driver, if you get the aluminum one, is better. Bit-wise, I like that these are a bit longer. What I don't like is that these are not readily accessible, and especially with the tariffs now, price has shot up with this kit. I can only imagine what it's going to cost to get replacement bits in there. I've not asked or seeked it out, but iFixit, they'll just replace them. So I think it's a good kit, but if you're actually using it on the regular, I think the iFixit of the Precision is the better way to go, because if you need more immediate, like you're using it for work, you can just walk into a Best Buy or a Home Depot and just get another kit. Like say if you need one and you're like, hey, it'd be way quicker and easier if we just had another set of bits, or we need multiple of a certain kind, you can just go do that. Or when I was doing on-site tech, we had a kit at the office where we would steal bits out of when ours stripped or wore out, and then we would RMA those. We'd have like one kit that we would constantly just be cycling bits for. So whereas for LTT, I believe there's no warranty on them. They consider that a wear part, which I'm not saying it's not. I'm not disagreeing with that. But a lot of higher end, like if you look at all my fellow screwdrivers, if you've seen videos on those have lifetime warranty. If I sent them a picture of that and told them it was stripping bit, like it'd probably have to be a little bit worse than that, but you know, a worn tip, and showed them where it was like folded over on the edge or whatever, they just send me a new one. We got a kit in here, for those wondering, who haven't been on the channel before. She demands attention because normally we're sitting down by 2, and it is now 2:36, and that is because of the fact that we set up that secondary square monitor, and I had to do a lot of faffing with it to get it on that stand. It's not supposed to come that way. So here we have what you're actually here for. Transparent, not translucent, transparent LTT screwdriver. Ratcheting multi-bit storage. I will be modifying that. I actually happened to buy previously another main set of these, and hopefully I have enough for this, as I run Torx in here. I run a T15, a T20, a T25, along with the Hex, which is the 2, 2.5, and the 4. I believe that's stock. So I swap in the, I take out the 2 squares, right? And then I put the Phillips 2 on the tip because that's what you're using most of the time if you're in the US. And then with the Phillips 2 out and the 2 squares out, you then get yourself room for 3 Torx. So I believe this to be the best US setup is the 3 hexes, which are the most common ones for metric hex. The 3 most common Torx, T15, 20, 25. You gotta be going pretty big, like leg screws if you're going above a T25. And if you're going below a T15, you're going into precision territory. The magnet I've used, not so sure on. But I had to get the transparent one. It is too cool to pass up. You got the Phillips 012, H2 2.54, slotted 2, 4. They got to be doing that in millimeters and 6. And TR15 and TR20. The R means security. I don't know if these are or not. They are. That 15 is. Oh, so they did. They took my suggestion. I must not be the only one. None of these are set up stock anymore. They took out the square bits. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry, but basically if you're not Canadian, you're not going to need those. Now, I should admit, I did use the square bits in here, but I still took them out. And you're like, what do you mean you still use them? I was doing our cabinets in the kitchen. Cabinets and a lot of woodworking are still square bits. So that's where maybe you go in here and you decide, I don't need the tiny little... I use this one more for adjusting things, this tiny little slotted one, more than I do for... like actually using it. So if you're in an area or you're doing more woodworking stuff and you're regularly using the square 2 and the square 1, put them in here. Like undo what I did. But you know how I was just telling you how I made that modification, and I would actually buy for each one of these screwdrivers, so that's 3, I bought the additional Torx set so I could get those 3 bits out of it. So 20 black phosphate, 20 millimeter 1/4 inch hex instead of like the, I think they're normally 30. Crater Warehouse, yeah, that's them. Made in Canada. That's definitely a sticker. Shall we see what it says beneath it? Oh, and it does include the magnet, by the way. Here would be my one complaint. I personally would argue T15, T25, not the T20. Let me know down below what you think. Now for PC building, I guess I could be lying there because that's why I still include the T20. The T20 is used for AM5 and the Threadripper sockets going back even further than that. So I guess for PC building, one could say that the TR20 or the T20, Torx 20, would be more applicable than the 25. Now for around the house stuff, if you were like, would you rather want a 15 or a 20 or a 25? I'd rather have a 25. Screws are generally either 15 or 25. They skip the, like if you're talking like wood screws or things holding your house together. So the other thing is we can definitely tell if we, I'll zoom in for you here, 5. So here is this that seals this shut. The Made in Canada is definitely over top. I'm going to guess that says Made in Canada with parts from, oh my gosh, you got to see this kitten. Look at this kitten. I was going to get up to get a little scraper so that we could take that off. But Miss Paisley Marie here. Yeah? She's out. So we'll use this little pry bar instead. That worked pretty well. Yep. Now, I don't think LTT did anything wrong here, because they said that they did, and I got it correctly. Like, so it's made in Canada, not just designed in Canada. Like, they went through the correct process and actually got it like officially done via the government. My guess is they did that for sure because of the tariffs, and this packaging must have been made before they got it to be able to say made in Canada on it. But I can almost guarantee that if it didn't say made in Canada, you'd be seeing higher tariffs, because there are tariffs on Canada. You gotta remember that, but they're nowhere near. I tried getting some more chubby cables, guys, direct from China. They're a Chinese brand that makes it in China. Oh my gosh, navigating the amount of tariffs to see like what I would actually have to pay. It was going to be at least a minimum of 30%, but apparently the post office charges 56%, but then over a certain amount, it's like a flat $100 or flat $200. Like it, and how you pay that, I just gave up. Turns out Chubby Cable is now on Amazon, so you can just buy them there. Make sure you're buying them from the Chubby Cable seller. There is a knockoff one on there already. So, but yeah, I can tell you that was important, so that they only got hit with, what is it, the 10% tariff instead of, or maybe the 20% fentanyl tariff, I think it is. I probably said a term that's going to get the video flagged. Oh well, let's hope it's far enough in. Was it tariff or fentanyl? There you go. That's what you should be thinking. Oh, and sadly the shaft is not going to be transparent, but that helped them avoid the full-blooded, you know, like however much China is today versus yesterday, etc. Oh, okay. I caught a glimpse of it. Whoever chose the inner color of this package, great choice. Now, everybody's that I've seen that has had this bouncing around the package. It's supposed to be right here, but it does not lock in very well. And because the lid doesn't have, like, it's so long and it only latches down at the bottom, my guess is even if they've spaced this so that the lid pushing down on it is supposed to keep it closed, well, because it only latches down here, this lid very easily can pop up enough to allow it to pop out, because it doesn't even go in halfway, maybe a third, and then slide down. I think I even saw some of the previous design. So I guess that would be one suggestion from me to the LTT crew, is figure out a way, if you want that to stay there, to actually stay there, because every unboxing video that I've seen of the transparent screwdriver, not translucent, transparent screwdriver, has been dislodged. And even on some that I've seen, was it Shadow Foam from the UK? He opened up, not the transparent one, but like a normal one. It might have even been themed for him, like color-wise. I'm not sure. It was falling down too. So this has got to not be the best method. And yeah, they don't pre-fill them because they're worried about it wrecking the inside of the screwdriver, and like the cost associated with having a human, which is what's required to load each of those individual bits in. But here, I'm gonna do this again though. Okay, see with the black, this lighter pink and orange color with that translucent really makes it pop. So that choice in color, really nice. We got another wireframe view of the transparent screwdriver there. So it looks like the same view as that one. Just on the inside of the lid. We got the it says Phillips, hex, flat, Torx, magnet. So, depending on how useful that magnet is to you, maybe you pop that out and you stick another Torx in there, or you do what I did and you just always leave one in the tip, and then you can get that. Okay, it is more slick. So supposedly this feels sharper too. So that means mine have worn down a little bit, like the shaft here. if that makes sense. Over time, I mean, it's still steel, you know, but I did not remember. It's been a hot minute since I've had a new one of these, and I mainly grab, like, unless I'm at a place where I only have my work tool bag, or I'm up in the office and I don't want to go all the way downstairs, I'm going to purposely go and grab my yellow one, you know. So it's definitely more worn. This thing is so grippy. Like, unless maybe they reworked it, but that's like biting into my... Love it. I always loved the knurling on it. They did a great job of it. I can't imagine they reworked this. Hey, Beasley. No, I can't imagine they did rework it. Maybe it's just because it's a freshie. You know what I mean? Also, like, as you stick this in bags and things with our tools, it'll wear that. You know, like, other tools are just as hard or harder than this. It'll wear it down. But that is... It's so cool seeing, because it doesn't even look like this collar moves when you turn it. Because it's translucent, but nothing moves internally. You can see the pawls, the ratcheting pawls shaking in there. Yeah, this thing is super sharp. And yes, there's a little play in and out. That is far, like, some people are complaining about that. Oh, everybody says it's so tight. Yes. I would argue that mine that I built at LTX 2023 is actually a little bit tighter. This is my original, and it's got a clack in there, but it's actually, like, there's less movement than all the other ones. Oh, my black on black on black. This one has the most movement. Like, it's that, and even then, compared to the other brands of ratcheting screwdriver that I reviewed, if you saw leading up to my original LTT screwdriver review, far less than most, if not all, out there. Here you can actually see the pivot. Let's see if so you see this black little, like, bow tie looking guy here. That is actually what makes it so that when you turn it right, it turns right. And when you turn it, meaning you're tightening. And when you turn it left, that means you're loosening. Most ratchets are, you turn it that way and you actually go the opposite. If you turn it right, you ratchet left. Snap-on and very, very few others have it correct. Even the Megapro that this is built off of is opposite. Most ratchet, inherently, the mechanism wants to be opposite. So use this little bow tie that's actually reversing, rather than this collar moving that black ring at the bottom, which is normally what happened. It would just be tied in there with like a I would say like a nub. I forget, like instead of it moving it up here, it would just have like a little thing that snapped right into that ring, and when you pushed it this way, it pushed the ring that way, and when you pushed it this way, it would pull the ring that way. But then like it would be opposite. So it's so much more intuitive for the ratcheting drivers to be, when you turn it to the right, you turn the screwdriver to the right. When you turn it to the left, you turn the screwdriver to the left. God, this thing looks so good. It looks so good. I'm glad they did it. Apparently, there's a little bit of a texture. If you can see, it's not fully, like, it's not glass clear. They added some texture to the mold that you can see that actually made it like a little bit translucent, I would say, or opaque would be another term. Oh, the end caps. Here, look, I thought they were going to kind of cheese it out, but no, the end caps of the mechanism are also clear, like right there. That's also clear, as is the cap on the end. The only thing that wasn't is the bit holders, which is kind of a bummer. But, you know, there's only so much they can do. They ended up going with all white ones with the build your own. I mean, you can see I huck bits in there. It gets beat up all the time. you know, and people are like, oh, it's supposed to be like super durable. Yeah, it is. Normal wear and tear on plastic, guys. These are like hardened S2 steel, or not hardened S2 steel, just S2 steel bits with black oxide coating. If you scrape one of those against a plastic, it's gonna win, okay? And when I'm putting these in sometimes, instead of seating it all the way in before pivoting down, I pivot down. It's not the end of the world. See, look, like, this is like, yep, I've moved the thing. You know, and then you go this way, and you move that way, and you go that way. This looks so much cooler. If we, let's 2x in. Like, you know, like, the vibes of slippery wise, this is a much more slick screwdriver compared to this. Now maybe that's because I've gooed mine up. Yeah, because the black one that I've used, the black on black that I've used less, is it's still more grippy. Like, there's some like to it. I just think that the clear material, and this one's been shined up a little bit. The black definitely has the most, black on black definitely has the most grip. This guy out of the box, I can see why they wanted to add a little bit of friction. To me, this feels the least grippy of all of these. By the way, the stubby just locks right in. The fact that they managed to get such good ergonomics on a stubby ratcheting screwdriver. This is the real winner. There are other good, like the Megapro ratcheting screwdriver is all right, though a bit bulky. The Snap-on one was pretty good. There's a bunch of decent competitor. Was it the Wiha, the Wiha? They even have ones that like, instead of you having to like get the bit out of here like this, they like actually like present it to you. Some of that stuff, because it took them 3 years to develop this, like other brands have kind of gotten around to making easier and better. Even DeWalt, the butt pulls out of one of theirs now. I love, originally they were going to put the knurling on here. That little bit of knurling makes all the difference. The amount of stuff that I can do with that. And they do sell an extension. I rarely, if ever, use it. So the extension is actually not really for the stubby. You can use it, and it gets about the same length as a full size. Apparently, this is often what Linus travels with, because going through TSA, you can't have this. This will get itself taken unless you check it. Don't check your luggage. They're just going to lose it, if you ask me. So unless you're going for multiple weeks and don't want to buy clothes while you're there, and can't do laundry, then you could probably check something bigger. But otherwise, what you can do is you can get the stubby, bring along yourself an extension, and you effectively have the same length as a full-size screwdriver. However, what this was actually originally designed for is in their partnership with Noctua. Noctua said that, hey, if we're making a screwdriver that's a Noctua colored, it's got to be able to put on and off our heat. Yeah, this is just way slipperier. It's also front heavy right now, so that may be doing some of it because there's no bits in here. That makes it long enough. Like, this extension is purposely made long enough to go down into like a NHD15 and attach it to your motherboard. This fitment is pretty good, though it's still a little loose. I mean, like, it's better than most. You can see that they actually turned this down to be a little bit thicker than expected, and this is a little bit more precise than like minimum requirements say. So that's why you have pretty good fitment here. Little wobble, but you know, most extensions that are not ones that lock in, you're going to see much more wobble out of them. But I don't use this that often. I have other specific ones. I do carry this. All of my bags that have one of these because they're actually relatively cheap. I kind of wish they made this nubbin a little bit longer, because then I could use it with other screwdrivers I have, but it is the same length as their, or maybe it's slightly longer, but it's still not the size of a full-length bit, which means I can't stick it in, you know, like this guy, this Scout Leather Co. Bernally Big Boy in titanium. Can't do that. There's just not enough meat there. Or, you know, something like this little, it's like an RC car handle that I actually quite recommend, but it's way more length needed for the extension to work in there. Let's get, it's definitely more slick. The body feels warmer though, I would argue. I mean, obviously it looks clean and new. My yellow, that is one downside of yellow as a color, is it gets dirty quick. Might be able to clean this off somewhat, but it will stain. But built this one well at the LTX Expo Key. And it's my go-to. So they actually have UPCs now. UPC. And the reason why this doesn't have the basic kit thing, they used to print black on black on the outside of this which bits were in it. And then they were colored too, like they were color coded, like there'd be blue, purple, orange sets, etc. You know, like to let you know like which, like kind of like this. I believe some of that was on the outside, so you could tell what it was. I'm guessing the UPC is a much better way. Now you're like, what are you looking at? Well, what I'm going to do is set this up the same way that my other ones are. Because... What? I thought there were no squares. Alright, I'm gonna have to reach out. This is square bits. Right? That is Robertson square bits. This lists Torx. Maybe I can get a free Torx kit out of them. If all of them got misdone that way, though. So I can show you. By default, they don't have the T15 and T20. They have the Square 1 and Square 2, which is very Canadian of them. But on the back side of here, it says they went to the T15 and the T20, which I think, like I said that was the right decision. That is what I've actually went to the T15, the T20, and the T25, because I got my Phillips 2 out there. And I just pop it off, swap it, pop it, you know. But my kit actually came with the Robertson square bits. So either that UPC is wrong. That UPC is wrong. I'm special sometimes, guys. You're all like, sometimes? I think I got all of them. And that almost fell in the crack, too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? What? I can't be all. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's 6. Okay, I can't count. That's all right. Counting's not my specialty. I'll have to ping Nick Light. I mean, I can hit up their customer service, but I'll be like, hey, Yeah, I made a mess of this. But yeah, that is Robertson, and that is a Torx, and there we go. I'm using the iPhone because you guys get recorded on the Pixel 9 Pro here. Well, in the meantime, I will load this up. Hopefully I have enough Torx. Maybe they'll send me some, because it's supposed to have Torx, not Robertson bits. And as I was saying, I swapped these out for them anyway. Oh, they have little. Do these old ones have little LTT on the? No, they don't. Must have been another batch of bits. VH2. There. It's a little LTT. There you go. Little LTT on there. As far as I can tell. Not on, and this is one from LTX 2023. Not on there. I mean, I think I might have replaced that once. Let's check this. Philips one, it hasn't got enough use. VH1. Nope. So they actually branded the bits LTT now. Maybe they're doing high enough MLQ, minimum order quantity, that they can get that sort of stuff done. And yes, I load all these up the same so that when I'm in wherever, I can just, like flip to the same, I'm used to the order, basically. Big flat, little medium flat, little flat. All right, and then we got, that was a 2, this is a 2.5, and this is a 4? Yeah, 4 is very common. I would argue 2.5 is also very common. So then we would go small, starting after the big guy, we would go small, medium, large. Now we don't have that, so we're gonna go square 1, square 2, and I'll have to dig through my kit. And for now, the Philips 2 will go there. Eventually, I want to get, T15, T20, T25, and get those in there. I have ordered plenty of kits in the past. There's a T9. Here's a T10. Oh, hey, look, it's like I've typed this kit already. T9, T10, right? T9, T10, T30. So I've literally taken out the 15, 20, 25 for one of the screwdrivers. So I will want to, at some point, get my hands on that. I have to imagine it's going to be cheaper for them to just refund people some amount of money. That feels really nice, though. Than it is to send you out a packet of screwdriver bits. Got my eyes closed, by the way, doing this. This may just be because it's newer, but the new selector ring feels tighter. Yeah, definitely feels tight. Let's try against the black on black. Yeah, this feels... And the molds for this, apparently they're the same, but they do change like the flow characteristics due to the material, which is the same as like a Nalgene bottle. It's the same base plastic. I don't remember the name of it. Dude, that's too freaking cool, though. And like I said, the way that they presented this in here with this pink, that lighter color makes it pop. If you put this on like a black, like it's not as... Or also, if you took a black, the normal one, and put it in here, no, that doesn't look right. The black insides, because the orange and the silver made that pop, it might work for a black on black. Like that works, right? But for this clear, having that sort of pink orange color really made that pop for me when I opened it. Like when I saw it, I'm like, ooh. So this thing should be stupid durable, because back in the day when I was doing Boy Scouts and stuff like that, like Nalgene was the one to go with when hiking, when doing that stuff. Like people used to demonstrate how durable they were. We'd have like climbing towers and climbing walls and stuff like that, and they'd huck them from the top all the way down to the bottom. No damage, unless they're on the cap, so don't do that. But I mean, that shouldn't happen if it's weighted because of the liquid inside. But I can only imagine this thing's super durable. I wonder with the shafts, you know, like what's up there, because this feels like... Now, like I said, not that mine feels bad. This might just be use or being with other tools, and that happens to knurling. You know, this feels downright smooth on my original black on orange, which is the main one I was using until I got this guy. And then with this coating, this black coating on here, that really smooths out the black on black, because it's infilling some of that, right? But this feels down like that is grabbing right into my... I don't know if you can say this one's slipping. This one's like tearing. Oh, knurling is great. For those of you that have an appreciation of ratcheting screwdrivers, you're going to pick this up, and I don't know if you've seen my original unboxing video or not, but like my reaction when I cracked this open, and I think I even let out a noise when I first felt the ratchet. Like it's just so smooth. You can do it one finger. This thing looks amazing. I think it's a great addition. They got to figure out the packaging so it doesn't fall out like that. And then also, if you're, you know, like you're switching it up to the Torx, you got to make sure the Torx are actually in the box. You know, and for somebody like me, like I said in the past, and this is feedback I provided, what, you know, like, and I'm sure other people did too, or you know, like other people were commonly doing it. But at least in the U.S., these Torx are going to get you a heck of a lot further than those Robertson is, unless you're doing cabinetry and or woodworking. And even woodworking, I feel more and more that is going the Torx route. So like pocket screws are the only thing that I can think that's reliably like a Robertson bit, if that makes sense. Or old deck screws before Torx, where they had a Phillips and a Robertson like in the middle, and you were way better off using the Robertson because the Phillips was compromised by having the Robertson in the middle. They kind of only made them Phillips as well because people didn't have the square bit. You know, here we don't really call it Robertson; we just call it square. It's usually like SQ, and then a number. But yeah, I mean, I remember getting to assemble mine. You got to do, I believe this, because this is around this cover over the ratcheting. That was already on there because that is on over ratchet mechanism. So they basically had like a stick with a metal bit sticking out of it, right? So it's like basically like, you can see there's like actually like a reinforced metal part further up, that, right? With whatever color of this you wanted. And then you pick the ring, the body. These guts were the same, so everybody just grabbed those. I think it was all black on the inside, and you got a cap. And then there were a number of presses that I really should have taken more pictures doing that. Like I said, this thing looks gorgeous. The color packaging they picked for it, I think, is bang on. Way more lively than the old one. The black, like when they were doing the gloss black on matte black, as cool as that look is, it is hard to read. This white, sort of gloss white on black, much more clear. Made in Canada, sticker over top's kind of interesting. Like I said, that means they had the packaging made before they got that approval. They probably sought that approval. Like maybe they, like Linus said, oh, we were always able to do it, we just never bothered. Yeah, they probably bothered once, you know, because this is definitely assembled, well, according to this, it is enough made in Canada to be labeled made in Canada. Shafts are milled in China. Like that's a known thing. Final assembly in Canada. Molding, the molds are from Canada. I'm not sure about the molding, like where the molds are done. That may be in China. But the molds themselves are from Canada, from what I recall. And then final assembly is done in Canada. And the patent for this mechanism is from Megapro, which is Canadian. And I believe as is the ratchet mechanism, the specific one that they have in here, which is really, and then they tweaked it, a lot of it further. So I think at one point they said that they might even be able to make like a sub patent on it because it it's a very, like, enough of a variation. Don't quote me on that though. That's just stuff I'm trying to recall. The granny cat is here. Mrs. Gertrude Ophelia. What are you doing? Yeah, Miss Gertrude Ophelia. Everybody's got cat fur everywhere today. Yeah. What's up with that? Yeah. Oh, you got those scratches. Yeah, is that good? Yeah. Yeah, we gotta be done. 3:15. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and the little stuff that we found along the way. I'm gonna reach out to support, notify them that, hey, even though it says Torx, which I approve, Torx is an improvement over the Robertson, at least for outside of Canadians. You gotta include it if it's on the box, right? The one thing that I asked them to add too, because they have all these bit sets and stuff, is I'm like, when are you getting pause drive? Because if any of you have done any of you guys are from Europe, you use pause drive. And if you guys, like I was using this to assemble, guys and gals, if you use it to assemble IKEA furniture, that is not Philippe, Mr. Philippe. That is pause drive. So if you ever felt like, oh, the screws are a bit wobbly or how you're assembling it, yep, that's because if it has a Phillips and then little diagonal marks, that is pause drive, not Phillips. They really need to get themselves some pause drive bits. What else? There were some other ones too, like some JAS or JCIS would be nice too. Especially when it comes to electronics, like a Dell laptop, those actually use JCIS #1 screws on them. They do not use Phillips #1s. The JCIS fits so much better. You know, some of you guys in the cars, a lot of the Japanese cars, it looks like a Phillips, especially, and if you're on like older Honda motorcycles, it looks like a Phillips. But if you feel like your screwdriver is slipping, that's because it's more likely a JS, because those are going to be bigger screws on there. So stuff like that. I know they had to raise prices on bits. I don't think that's the worst thing ever. They are quality bits. S2 steel is the way to go. You know, I have worn through at least one Phillips on this guy. Possibly one on this guy, Phillips 2. None of the other ones so far. The only one at risk, I think, is that really, really small. I use a lot of that 0.05 inch hex because I got, for example, the screws in this guy right there for the clip are that a lot of parts for these tactical keychains, knives, and pens, and some other pens are that smaller, that real small torque, or real small hex, not torques. Usually with a keyboard, you're going to get either the 2.5 hex or the 4mm hex. You know, so just something to keep in mind. And you can use bigger hex bits in here. I have in plenty of occasions when LTT doesn't make one. They just don't store it back here unless you slide them through. Like, you can do that with it, and then you can fit bigger bits. I have never had any reason to store them, so yeah, which reminds me. Oh, here's another trick. There's like a little spinny thing in here that they advertise as, like, you're supposed to, like, I would take the small little flathead, and you're supposed to spin this, because if you don't want these to pass through, you put this little black doohickey in there, like so, right? And then that gives you, so it can't pass through, and there's less play in there, right? It's fine. Another trick you can do, which I think this one's set up this way, is you just turn it so that it's not lined up. See how instead of being lined up across, you can just, here, boop, boop. That's what I do. That way you don't have to worry about the little black spinny guy in the middle, because they can never be lined up to have a thing going through. It looks like this one I might have oriented differently than the yellow one. I think it's easier to grab from this upper rim rather than down lower, so maybe I need to swap that guy around. How about this one? Yeah, this one's set up correctly. For some reason, this guy has it flipped from what I would normally run. But yeah, please check out the transparent screwdriver from them. They did not send it. I bought it. When I got the notification by email. That's even before the WAN show. Normally I would wait until WAN show to order it, because then you can get your merch message, or that's just happened to be when I'd be paying attention. But this thing I had the notification alert on, and I purchased it right away. Probably, unless this thing sells stupendously or they sell out of the stubbies, probably not getting a translucent stubby, which is a sad day. Because for those of you out there that don't regularly use these screwdrivers, I'm going to tell you that this, like, if you're to take black on black big ratcheting screwdriver, this exists in quality already. The LTT one is exquisite. It is, if you need a quality ratcheting screwdriver, or want one, or use one regularly, this is a good one to go with, right? Maybe not an automotive. Yeah, some people have added stippling to this plastic to give it more grip, like by melting into it. This guy is the guy, though. There are, in my opinion, no other real good stubby ratcheting screwdrivers on the market. Most of them are shit. The Milwaukee one that you guys are probably thinking of, yeah, it's actually garbage when you use it. This thing is beautiful. This thing, it uses the exact same ratcheting mechanism as the Long Boy. It feels just as good. None other I've seen has this knurling. And because it's stubby, you get just enough to get even my big fat, like significantly fatter than my left hand thumb that has, you know, like calluses and stuff on it. I mean, there are people with bigger hands than me, but you know, like I have a big right thumb. When I review mice, that comes into play. I need enough room for that get the guy, you know. I can get in there no problem. I like fitting that in there. I often also stick the 4mm to 1/4" adapter in there and put precision bits in it, because this gives you a little bit more torque if you've got one that either has Loctite on it or is stuck. You can pop it on here, and you know you're not going to give it nearly as much gumption as you would with the big boy, you know. But you got much bigger handle, because some of the precision screwdrivers are like the size of a 1/4" hex, you know. So you can at least break it free with this. As much as this is, well, not the transparent one, but the, you know, their generic one here is their best seller. This, in my opinion, is the more innovative product. Now this couldn't, you know, this thing couldn't run or swim or jog or whatever the saying is without this guy existing. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, for those of you out there that love your FMA Brotherhood, that wouldn't have existed without FMA, the original anime. Sorry to tell you. But this is FMA Brotherhood, and this is FMA. Brothers Anime otakus out there. And hopefully you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one. I'm off to sleep. Peace.